G'day guys, and welcome to another YouTube lesson. Today we're taking a look at the business function of marketing. It's one of our 4 key business functions, and we're looking at the subtopic of influences of marketing. So I need you to understand the dot point we'll look at today, which is ethical influences on marketing, but also understand how it's an influence, how it's an impact on the business, how it has an impact on marketing in general. So the syllabus dot point we'll be addressing looks at ethical, truth, accuracy, and good taste in advertising. Also products that may damage health. We'll be looking at engaging in fair competition and also the concept of sugging. All of these are ethical concepts and they're all ethical impacts, influences on marketing. All right, what's an influence? An influence is something that has an impact, be it positive or negative, on the business. In relation to marketing, there are legal influences, which we're not addressing now, but we looked at last lesson. But there are also ethical influences, and they're just as powerful an impact on the marketing team. Some of the ethical influences include truth, accuracy, and good taste in advertising. As we mentioned before, products that may damage health, engaging in fair competition, and sugging. All right, firstly, truth, accuracy, and good taste in advertising. You need to understand, firstly, what that means by truth. What's accuracy? What are we referring to by good taste in advertising? And then also be able to explain how it has an impact and influence on marketing. So, truth, accuracy, and good taste in advertising. This means that when advertising a product, it must be truthful, which is honest, use correct and factual information, so accurate, and not make generalizations, and not be crude or disgusting or make an offense to the majority of people. That's the good taste part of that syllabus dot point. So how does that impact or influence a business? Well, in a number of ways. Firstly, it's the law to make sure you're acting in a truthful, accurate, and use good taste. But in terms of ethics, it's bad for the brand. It's bad for the recognition of the product. So it's the right thing to do, thirdly. Internally and social morals considers to act ethically, to be truthful, accurate, and use good taste. It's just the right thing to do. All right, now products that may damage health. Both the federal and state governments have sought to restrict the advertising of goods and services that may act as a health deterrent to the consumer. They're doing this but without applying a total ban on their sales. There's some things they totally ban, like illicit drugs, but other things they try to restrict, like cigarettes and alcohol, but without a full ban. Now, these goods and services are often referred to as sin goods because, in essence, they're not good for us, they're bad for us. Examples include cigarettes, alcohol, junk food. Now, how does this have an impact on marketing? It has a strong influence on marketing, as in the case of junk food. Businesses like Macca's have switched their marketing campaigns to a more healthy alternative. They've done this because it's ethically the right thing to do, but also they do it from a marketing standpoint because it differentiates them from their rivals, gives them a competitive advantage because it looks good. So when we talk about these sin goods, these sin products, it impacts on marketing because businesses like Macca's can see the benefit in providing healthy alternatives, not just because it's nice, but because it's marketable. It can sell more of their products. Now, the next thing under the ethics and ethical influences of marketing is engaging in fair competition. Businesses are forced by the law and also by ethics to engage in fair competition. A business is not allowed to price collude, which is like petrol companies getting together and setting a standard price for the consumer that is higher than the market rate. Businesses are also not allowed to use their massive size to squeeze out smaller competitors. It's illegal, but it's also considered to be unethical. How does this impact on a business? Well, in two ways. Firstly, because it's illegal to act in this way, so it's a forced influence. But what we're looking at today is the ethical influence on a business. If businesses don't follow this ethical influence, then if their competitors do, it looks bad for that business. And customers in the long term are likely to go with their competitors. So they're urged to do so. Sugging. What's this? It's not a legal one. It's purely ethical. It's not against the law to use sugging. But ethically, morally, and also in terms of bad reputation for your brand, sugging is not in the long term recommended. Now, it's a process whereby you're selling under the guise of research. I'll say that again. Sugging is the process whereby you're selling under the guise of research, hence the sugging. Consumers are asked, in terms of this process, consumers are asked general questions on a range of topics, such as where would you like to go for a holiday? Or would you like to be a billionaire in 2 years? Now, from these responses, the interviewer or the market researcher is able to determine the needs of the customer and suggest products and offer these products to the customer the business could be able to give them. So in essence, they're finding out what the customer wants by pretending to do some market research and then using that information to sell products and goods and services to the customer. It suckers the customer into trusting them, thinking it's just market research, when the end game really is to just flog stuff to the customer using that information when their guard is down. And it's not illegal, but it's not looked on positively by customers, and it's bad for the business's reputation. An example is, in a bar, an attractive lady might ask a group of guys if they don't mind being asked some market research questions. She asks what drinks they most like. The customers ask her, she writes it down or nods. She then attempts to sell them those very branded drinks back to the customers, gaining the information to help her target the customers and what they'd like. Now, this one is purely an ethical influence. Sometimes in the HSC, they ask if it's legal or ethical. It's purely an ethical thing. Most businesses do comply with anti-sugging practices, i.e. they don't use sugging, because customers aren't silly. They understand generally in the long term what the business is trying to do, and they're not happy about it. It's not a recommended practice. It's bad for the product's branding and ultimately will result in lower sales in the long term. All right, guys, thanks for listening.